I got my first job doing eyebrows when I was 15, 11 years ago. You're gonna sacrifice a few years now, and then it'll all be worth it in the end. And I just took my chances. And
all right, guys, thank you for checking this video out. This is Jermaine from Minding My Business. I'm here today with
Sheila Syed.
All right, so we're gonna talk about how she acquired our salon and what's the ups and downs of running our own business. So let's get into these questions. First of all, what kind of business do you have?
So I have two businesses. One is an open floor salon and one is individual suites. I initially started with the open floor salon and it was not planned at all. It all happened after our quarantine in 2020. It made me realize that the system doesn't always have your back and you need to have something of your own to fall back on. So I just took it head on. I wasn't prepared. It started with one booth, one station, and whatever profits I would make from that, I would invest it back into the business, and I kept going from there, and here we are.
So what's the difference between, you say it was an open salon?
Open floor.
And what's the other one?
So inside of here, we have closed rooms. You'll get more privacy that way, and on the open floor, it's also booth rent, but we all work together. So having the individual rooms over here, it's great for entrepreneurs who are wanting to get their business started, but they're not quite ready for such a big commitment, like opening up an entire shop by themselves. So it's a great way to start your platform and go from there.
So how did you get your initial investment to even start opening that one over there?
I just took my chances. I had a little bit of money saved and it was enough to have one station. So I just got started, saved all my money, all my profits would go back into it, and I added more stations. So it was just me at first, and now I've got 5 to 6 girls in there with me. And then over here, we've got about 6, 7 people as well.
Obstacles you have to overcome to get where you're at right now, having 2 different suites?
There was a lot of trial and error. There is a lot of multitasking. There's a lot of management behind the curtains. I can just be honest, it's not easy. It's a lot. It's gonna take sacrifice, but you have to look at it more like you're gonna sacrifice a few years now, and then it'll all be worth it in the end. You have to give up some of your time to make sure that everything gets done.
So how many hours are you putting in right now to run both suites?
I would say I'm at 6 days a week right now.
6?
The 6th day is like half a day for me, so about a little over 50 hours now. Initially when I started, all day, every day for like a good 2 years, I was just on it. Like everything work related to make sure that I'm building my foundation. But now that I have that built, it's much easier and I can lay back a little bit, you know.
So do you also work in the salon as well, or you just run it?
Yes, I'm also an esthetician in there. The way I like to run things is where all of us are equal. I don't like treating my employees like they're under me. So I try to push and motivate all of my girls to grow for their own benefit. Because even in the open floor salon, I don't do commission, I don't do paychecks, I do strictly booth rent. So it's up to them how far they want to grow their business.
So are you the only one running everything, or do you have a management team that manage like collecting the rental booths and all that, or you do everything?
I have my boyfriend that helps me. He helps with the paperwork, anything techie. I'm not great with computers, so I have that advantage.
Starting out your business, what sparked the inspiration to have your own salon? Was it you driving by and you see salons and you was like, I can do that? Or?
So ever since I was a kid, I've been interested in the beauty field. I got my first job doing eyebrows when I was 15, 11 years ago. And then I did get my bachelor's in psychology. Once I graduated, I decided that I'd rather go 100% in with something that makes me happy, something that I'm comfortable with. That's when I decided I want to open up my own business. Halfway through college, I got my esthetician license and I was doing aesthetics as a part-time job just to get through college. And then after that is when I decided I want to step it up and make that my career.
So running the salon, kind of what's the hardest thing you face right now?
The hardest thing that I face is that I only have 2 hands and everybody is so needy. Not in a bad way, it's just that there's only so much I can do within a certain time period in a week. So like, for example, the lash clients, once you initially come in for a full set, you're coming back to see me every 3 weeks for your fill-ins. So it's just having to put everybody on my books and try to make everybody happy.
How do you schedule your bookings? Is it on a website? Do they call you? Do you have a bookkeeper? How do you?
I use this app called Square Appointments. They have their own app for just doing transactions, and then they have one for people like us who need the booking site as well. So I don't really have to communicate with my clients that much because they can go on the website, reschedule, book appointments, and do all of that on their own.
So you say you have a website, or it's just through the Square app?
Through Square. So whenever you do sign up with Square, they let you customize it for all of your services, what you offer, and it's kind of like a website but through Square.
Yeah.
And it'll have all the information on there for them.
So what's your biggest expense right now?
Probably be my lash supplies. With the client turnaround, with them consistently coming back every 3-4 weeks to get their fill-ins, I have to be on top of making sure that I have my supplies available to get their services done.
So do you manage getting your supply? Do you have one person you go to? You have a bunch of people, or how do you manage?
Most of my supplies come from Amazon, and then a few of them are where I reached out to the company directly, and you get it cheaper that way, but the only downfall is that you have to buy it in bulk. So you're just gonna have a large amount instead of ordering 1 box or 2 boxes at a time.
And as far as the initial investment, how long did it take for you to recuperate that investment? Are you 6 months?
I don't think it wasn't more than 6 months before I can say, okay, I've made the money I've spent. Now now everything else after that is going to be profits. But that comes with the 6 to 7 days a week around the clock, just constantly working on the business. And that doesn't mean just being with clients. I'm on my Instagram. I'm trying to make content, promotions, and handing out my business cards. Even if I'm at Walmart and grocery shopping, you could hand the clerk your business card, and that's still exposure. So it's like you're constantly thinking about, how can I grow the business? How can I expand? How can I make it easier without as much physical labor? You know what I mean? And that's what also got me into doing the booth rent, because I get to share my space where I'm doing my work, and then I'm also making money while helping other people grow their business.
So what made you choose this location?
So after, during that shutdown when we were all at home for like 3-4 months, this was the first place I came across, and I just took my chances, and I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. Your biggest fear is yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, you criticize yourself the most than other people. So you have to be able to face yourself and let go of those fears and just go. But that's not just thinking it's gonna happen overnight. You're gonna have to put that effort in. You're gonna have to put the work in order to see results.
So if somebody's looking to start their own, salon, would you say it's like they're leaving the 9-to-5 rat race but starting a 24/7 startup phase?
It does feel like that, but it's temporary. Would you rather do 9-to-5 for 50 years, or would you rather take 2 years of 24/7 and then you can relax after that?
Did you have a 9-to-7 before?
Yes, I was an esthetician working inside of the Walmarts. There was a place called Seva. I think they go by M Beauty now. And that's where I was clocking in, but I was still doing the same work that I'm doing now.
What's some pros and cons of working a 9-to-5 or owning your own business?
One of my favorite things about having a 9-to-5 was that it's much less stressful. You just go in, you clock in, you do your work, you clock out and you go home, and then you're living your personal life. Versus whenever you're a business owner, there's other things that happen behind the curtains that people don't see. If you have to reschedule clients, if you have a leak in the building, if you have an inspection, you have to be able to show up, and there'll be emergencies that happen, and it's just a lot of stuff that you wouldn't deal with if you had a 9-to-5. So it does come with a little bit more stress, but in the long run, it's definitely worth it.
All right, so what's your profit margin?
I haven't calculated it to the dot or have it on the top of my head. I would say like a 30% investment into, supplies, bills, and then the other 70% would be profit.
So if you had to guesstimate, what's your average revenue on a month or a yearly basis?
My income?
Yeah.
It is over 6 digits. Once I opened the business, it took me about a year to get there. A year of consistent hard work, sacrifice. You can't spend your weekends going out to the club. You need to get your rest. You still need to have, take care of your mental health at the end of the day. So I feel like my biggest sacrifice was what the average 20 to 25-year-old does with their personal time, I sacrificed that. And I know that I didn't get to enjoy it, but I'm looking forward to doing that in the next couple of years.
So if somebody was trying to open their own salon, what some advice would you give them? Like stuff you know now that you wish you had known then?
Start small first. Get into somewhere like a suite because you won't have to make as big of a commitment. If I could go back, I would go back and save more money before I get started. My plans were out of the blue, but I would advise that whatever you think you need, save double that, just in case there's an emergency or if anything happens. So if you think that you need $10,000 as startup, go ahead and wait till you save your $20,000 and then go into it, because you're not sure what's gonna come up. There's a lot of other hidden things behind the curtains that people just don't talk about, and everybody's situation is gonna be different.
So what's your future plan for your salon? You trying to add on to it? What?
I am comfortable where I'm at, but there is always room for growth. My end goal is I want to create different locations where other people can reach their dreams and their goals as entrepreneurs, and that gives me less physical labor. So I would still have a career, I would still have an income, I would still have work, but just very minimal, and then it would push more over to I'll make my money off of the booth rent.
What's one crucial information you learned from running your business that you didn't know before?
Nobody's gonna hold your hand and walk you through it. You're gonna have to believe in yourself. The people you think are your biggest supporters, they might not be your supporters. I can say from my own experience, the higher you go, the lonelier it gets. Not everybody wants you to do great, but as long as you believe in yourself, you can do it. As long as you're putting in that work, it can happen.
How do you manage the stress that comes with business?
I have a therapist that I see every week, and we do talk about work a lot. One of the biggest things that we have been working on lately is how to separate work and your personal life. You have to have boundaries. There are limits. You can't literally work around the clock 24 hours a day. You do need to have some downtime. You still need to go on your vacations. You still need to have your healthy relationships and real life outside of work, because you don't want to feel like you're burnt out. You don't want to hate what you do, because it can get overwhelming.
So where can people find you if they're trying to get some information from you or book with you?
My biggest platform right now is my Instagram. You can find me at @s_s_beautify. All of my information is on there.
All right, guys, so this is a wrap on this video. Hope you guys learned something. If you learned anything, leave a comment, give us a share. Until the next video, we'll see you guys.